Hello everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to my channel. June is officially over, which is absolutely crazy to believe that we're halfway through the year, but that also means that for the first time on this channel, I will be completing the mid-year book freakout tag. Now, I'm actually pretty proud of my progress reading and my goals this year, so I feel like this tag is going to be a little more difficult than I thought because I have quite a few books that I can pick from, new characters, new everything. I haven't reread that many books this year, if at all. I think maybe one or two. So I feel like this tag is actually going to be way more difficult than I originally thought. There may be multiple answers for a lot of these questions. Question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2021. So I have a couple for this one, and they're actually some of my most recent reads. The first one is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I loved this book. I really needed, when I read this, I really needed something that was like fun and uplifting, but still had some drama, and this was like the perfect book for that, and it just made me so happy, and I don't know, it just really brought my spirit up, I guess, and I really needed that when I read this book. And it's definitely probably going to be one of my new go-to comfort reads. So good, highly recommend this book, and I cannot wait to read One Last Stop. The next book that I feel is one of my favorite reads this year so far is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This book was insane. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but this book was nuts, and I loved every second of it. It started off in such a way that I just didn't know where it was going, and it just kept going that way, and there was all these different characters being thrown in there for only little bits of time surrounding these three sisters, and it was crazy. So good. Everyone is talking about this book, and for good reason. So if you haven't read House of Hollow yet, check it out. If you like gothic thriller horror, you will not be disappointed. Check this out. So freaking good. Question number 2 is the best sequel you've read in 2021. Now, I'm gonna preface this by saying I read the entire series this year. So honestly, every single book in this series, besides Throne of Glass, is a sequel and could probably be one of the best sequels I've read this year. But, of course, I'm gonna say Kingdom of Ash, the final book in the series. What? So much happened in this, but granted, it's 900 pages, which don't even get me started. I felt betrayed by this book because it is the same size as Tower of Dawn, but then they used thinner material, thinner paper, and it became an extra 300 pages, which I was not expecting. But oh my gosh, so worth it. I loved this series. Oh, the characters are just so good, and oh, I love it. And we'll get back to this series later for sure in this tag. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to, and for that I am picking The Lights of Prague by Nicole Jarvis. I mean, The Lights of Prague, I want to go visit Prague and the Czech Republic so badly. The architecture there is just so gorgeous, and I feel like it's such a rich historical city, and the fact that this is a historical fantasy with ghosts and monsters, and it just sounds right up my alley, and the cover alone really pulled me in. I'm just 100% ready to read this book, and I cannot wait to get to it this year. Question number 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. For that is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I remember when he started the research for this book, and I'm just so excited. Seeing everyone's reaction to reading the ARC editions is just getting me even more hyped, and I cannot wait for my copies to arrive. So definitely Empire of the Vampire for most anticipated in the second half of the year. Question number 5 is biggest disappointment. Now, the book overall was not a disappointment, and that book is Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schuldt. What disappointed me about it was the fact that we didn't really get to experience each individual quadrant in its entirety. I was hoping that we would get to explore them in the way that we get to explore the districts in Hunger Games, or you get to experience Amity and Dauntless and Erudite in Divergent. But we didn't really get that here. We got like bits and pieces of what they were about, and we did get to visit, I believe, 2 of the 4. But we didn't really get to dive deep into what they truly were all about. And I really wish we would have gotten some more with that, but being as it is a standalone, there's of course not room to do so, and so I just wish it either would have been maybe a duology with a little more mystery, giving us a chance to explore the quadrants a little bit more. But overall, this book was really good. The twists and turns in it, I was really surprised when I finally started catching on what was happening. So good. Definitely check it out. I just wish there had been a bit more time to explore the actual world itself. Question number 6 is biggest surprise. I'm not quite sure if I'm going in the right direction for this question, but the biggest surprise was Rule of Wolves. There were things that happened in this that were just surprising and disgruntling and surprising. There's a lot. A lot happened in this book. So good, but it was definitely a lot of like what just happened moments, and that is like surprise face. If I can find it and pull the clip, I was reading this book on live reading sprints on my channel, and there was a part I got to and I had to stop reading, and if I can find the footage I will insert it, but if not I will like put a timestamp so you can see my reaction. It's really small, like it's in the side, but it was hilarious, and it was a surprise. And I don't even really, thinking back, I don't know if that really was necessary reaction, but apparently at that moment it sure was. So biggest surprise, Rule of Wolves. Question number 7 is favorite new author, debut, or new to you. So I was going to try not to repeat, but I have to go with Casey McQuiston. This book was just everything, and I want to read everything else she writes. So, Casey McQuiston, definitely one of my favorite new authors. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush, and we are going to revisit Kingdom of Ash, and we're going to talk about the beautiful Fae men that are Lorcan and Fenris, because they are definitely 2 of my newest fictional crushes from this series. Honestly, every single character in this book series is just amazing, and you honestly can't go wrong with whoever you pick. Let's be real here. But Fenris and Lorcan are definitely 2 of my new fictional crushes. Question number 9 is newest favorite character. For this, I'm sticking in the Throne of Glass world, but I had to go grab Heir of Fire because I am definitely going to be mentioning Manon Blackbeak and her wyvern Abraxas. Like, what a perfect pair. They're so adorable together, and they're just like 2 badasses, and I love it. I love their characters so much, especially Abraxas. Like, I just want a plushie of him so I can cuddle, because, oh, or can I just have my own wyvern? That would do too. But also, Manon is just a badass. I love her. Like, who doesn't love a character that can literally rip someone's throat out with her teeth? Badass, right? So definitely those 2 characters, along with many other characters in this series, are definitely faves, along with many of the other characters in the books I've read, but those 2 specifically are definitely new top of the list fave characters. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and you know, thank you Adam Silvera once again for making my tear ducts go into overdrive. I think I probably cried over a handful of times while listening and reading this book. It was just so gut-wrenching, and moments of it like hit really close to home at points, and I just, it was an emotional roller coaster, but such a good story, so interesting. I love the contemporary base with like sci-fi elements that he writes. It's just such an interesting concept, and this one was so good. So if you haven't read They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, I definitely recommend it. Just make sure you have some tissues on hand. because you're gonna need them. Question 11 is a book that made you happy. I'm gonna say books that made me happy, and I'm just gonna really quickly hold up Red, White, and Royal Blue. I've discussed this one already in this video, so I'm just gonna show it off one more time and move on to the second one that definitely made me happy, and that is The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. Magnus and Alec are just too freaking adorable. Like, I don't know, I always have loved Magnus's character, and the fact that he has created a cult as a joke that has then become like a real problem, it's just that kind of ridiculousness that you expect from Magnus, and I missed that. I haven't actually read a Shadowhunters book in quite a while, I feel, maybe over a year, maybe even 2 years, and it was about time I came back to the world, and I'm not disappointed at all. So, Red Scrolls of Magic, so good. So cheesy in some spots, but, like, it's the perfect, like, Magnus drama, and I cannot wait to read book 2. So, yeah. This one definitely made me happy to be back in the world and to get to hang out with Magnus again. Also, I don't know, there was so many little tiny things and little characters that I wasn't expecting to pop up in this book. I can't. Just if you haven't read it, check it out. Please, just go read it. It was highly entertaining. Okay, we have 2 questions left. So question number 12 is most beautiful book you have purchased this year or were gifted. And that, for me, is The Nature of the Witches by Rachel Griffin. This was one of my most recent purchases because this debut has the most gorgeous, first print only, naked cover. And it looks like this. And it's absolutely stunning. I love florals and butterflies, and it's all just on this book perfectly just here, and it's stunning. So if you can get your hands on one, I highly suggest it. The book itself sounds phenomenal. It's about like weather magic, I guess is the best way I can describe it, is like weather magic. And like seasonal weather magic, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how else to really explain it without reading the synopsis to you, but that kind of has what to do with witches, weather, and seasonal magic. And it sounds really cool and interesting, and I'm definitely intrigued, plus the beautiful cover. So definitely check this one out. It could be right up your alley. And now we are at the final question, which is question 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? That is a loaded question, my friends. So many books. I can't even, honestly, I can't. All of these right here, all of these, except for that pile I just showed you, but like all of these up here, all of these over here, these are all TBR books, my friends. So all of these. I'm obviously not going to get through them, so let me share a few that I'm definitely hoping to get to by the end of the year. Starting with V.E. Schwab, I would like to get to Vengeful this year, but first I need to do a reread of Vicious. So these 2 books definitely are ones I want to pick up before the end of the year. Another one that I would like to pick up is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I have heard nothing but good things about this, and I've heard that the second one is even better. Which, what? That's insane. The sequel's better than the first book. So I really want to get to this one so I can read that sequel when it comes out. So this is another one that I want to read before the end of the year. And one of the final ones that I would love to get to by the end of the year is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Yes, this is the hardcover. This cover doesn't even exist anymore. They redid the covers, which those are absolutely stunning as well. But like, I've had this book since, let's just see. This book has a copyright date of 2015, which means it's now 2021, which means this has been sitting on my shelf for 6 years. And I've yet to read it. So I need to get on to this series. I mean, the full series is out now, so I could just binge read the whole thing, which is probably what I'll end up doing, I'm guessing. but I want to get this one read as well. It's definitely on the list to read by the end of 2021. And with that list of books, we are at the end of the Mid-Year Book Freakout Tag 2021 edition. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed already for even more bookish content. I will see you soon with a brand new video. Take care and happy reading.